Welcome to Something to Talk About. This program is presented by the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center several times a week, and it is made possible in part by a sponsorship from Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island. Fieldstone is offering assisted living and independent living and memory care all up on Rolling Bay. And they also have day stay and respite programs. If you'd like to learn more or schedule a tour, look for them on the web at fieldstonecommunities.com or call 360-594-1010. And we are going to look at some wildlife photos from Glen Wyatt today. And maybe it's appropriate, since we're thinking about the outdoors and our neighbors, to acknowledge that we are meeting on the ancestral homeland of the Suquamish people, the people of the clear salt water who have been living on the waters of the Salish Sea and stewarding the lands and waters since time immemorial. Glen, I want to thank you very much for offering to share your pictures on the wall, on the ledge out in the lobby, and for walking us through some of those pictures today online.
Well, thanks, Rita. I appreciate it, and appreciate the opportunity with the photo club to do things like this. Let's see if I can share my screen. How's that for a thought? Yeah, I think I got it.
Yep, there we go.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I came up with the classy or catchy title of environmental portraits for this because I couldn't think of another title for it. And basically, I've been shooting animal pictures for a number of years. I think I did actually come up with the 50 based on finding some old slides when I was about 50 years younger, oddly enough. So these are primarily photographs taken in the Pacific Northwest. There are a couple that aren't, but you'll get the idea as we go along. And first off, if this would work correctly. Yes, good. Okay. My wife and I were recently at Yellowstone, actually back in May, and I thought I'd take a classic Yellowstone occupant photo. So this is a bison that had been munching on some grass at the Mud Volcano area, which is north of north of the Lake Lodge and south of the canyon area. And if you haven't been to Mud Volcano, it's a very interesting part of the park. So lots of mud pots and other things going on. So this is a very damp bison, just came out of the Yellowstone River, which is probably about 50 or 100 feet east of where the bison was. So let's see, that's one. Okay. If you've spent some time in Yellowstone over the last few years, you'll find people doing idiotic things like, trying to go visit Old Faithful itself and trying to pet bisons. Anyway, so somebody has come up with the term Turon, which stands for tourist moron. And like I said, this is one bison's opinion of a Turon. Took a long time to get there from where we started, but anyway, yeah.
There we go. Yes, he's giving you a skeptical look for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I like the tongue hanging out. You don't often see bison tongues in their portraits. Anyway, all right, next. Other denizens of Yellowstone, yellow-bellied marmots. And there are about, I think, 3 or 4 different species of marmots in North America, and I've got pictures of 2 of them. Again, the yellow-bellied marmot found in the Northern Rockies, and quite frequently seen in Yellowstone. And so there was another one. We called this Alan. I don't know if anybody's seen the what is it? The BBC the BBC program. What is it? I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, I called this guy Alan.
There we go. There are some Olympic marmots. Whether we get Glenn back, we certainly have another marmot. And I do love how detailed these pictures are, how close we're getting to get the real spirit of these critters.
These are the younger Olympic marmots, and you can tell that um, because of their mottled color with the yellowish orange and darker brown. Oh, and going back to the previous comment about Alan, I like the marmot in the lower left on this one. It kind of reminds me of Tim Allen, for that matter. He's got that vague look in his face. Anyway, now, all right. Hey,
Really.
finally.
And
Okay.
this is one of my favorites of yours in this series.
Oh, thanks. I think I took this picture about 30 years ago, and it's a scan from a slide, but it's an adult Olympic marmot. You can tell it's an adult because of the darker fur and the white colored nose, which I didn't realize until I was looking up marmots a while ago. And again, this is up on Hurricane Ridge. Another occupant of Hurricane Ridge, and also Yellowstone for that matter, are ravens. And I caught this guy. I can't remember if he was on the hood of my car or just walking around the parking lot there at Hurricane Ridge. And going back to a little humorous shot, this was taken about a year ago. That morning that we had the ice storm, I was out basically freezing my feet for a few hours, taking pictures of animals in the backyard. And I think the caption explains it all. There were three raccoons running around in the yard that day, and one of them went over to a frozen bird bath and was trying to get a drink, hence the title.
This one looks more like the weather you were describing than the photo before, which
Yeah,
doesn't look like it could have been spring. Of course, that's how it is here in the Northwest. You still have greenery no matter what.
yeah, very true.
And that one was also a winner on the 4th of July, right?
That's right.
Yes.
This one was, Chuck, you're right. I forgot that it did. Yeah, and
You're watching this later. The 4th of July is when the photo club sets up a opportunity for viewers' choice to step in and look at the photos that you've done. And every year we get a good crowd down there to look at some of your fine work.
yeah, what did we have last year? 800 or 900 people came through, if I remember correctly.
Over 1,000.
Okay. I should know this since I counted all the votes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, another shot from our yard. We have a chipmunk or family of chipmunks that shows up every summer, and this one was climbing around in some columbine stems after the flowers had turned to seed. And again, self-explanatory title. The other thing that I shoot a lot of in our yard are pileated woodpeckers, and I've been doing that since, I don't know, 1993 or so. And so you'll see frequently when I'm putting up pictures, you'll see a pileated or two. And this is, I believe, an adult bird from last March. And then there's Junior. Junior's a special bird. We figured Junior never learned how to do things from his parents. It's kind of sad. So we have some suet feeders in the backyard, and most birds would just land on the suet feeder and start pecking at the suet, but not Junior. He would land on a stick that we have over our feeders and turn upside down and then go after the suet. He did this for a couple of months. I think it took him about 2 months to figure it out. And this bird was in our yard, I think, every day from August a year ago to probably March or April. And I have numerous pictures of Junior hanging upside down.
He's just maybe he's just a photo bug or something. He likes to
Yeah.
get the picture, so he behaves in a way that gets your attention.
Yeah, he was interesting bird.
He's a clear show off.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got that right, Diane. He's a strange bird. I don't know, maybe his
And
parents
he did
picked
end
him
up
out
with
early.
suet,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he did end up with suet, so he's no bird brain.
Yeah, that's very true. And actually, like I said, after a month or two, he figured out how to do it. We'd see him landing on the suet feeders like a normal bird and going after the suet. So the other thing is that I found that pillies are fairly habituated to people, or at least me. I can get within 10 feet of a pileated woodpecker with no problem out in the yard, so I can get some good close-up shots like that.
Yeah, these are great.
Oh, thanks. And the typical pileated woodpecker shot that you see with them going after an insect, ant, or some other kind of larvae. I can't imagine being a pileated woodpecker. Just watching them makes my head hurt. Now, about what, a month or two ago, we had a barred owl that landed on our feeder assembly. And this bird hung out literally for 35 minutes. And it was absolutely crazy watching it, watching the way a barred owl's head can turn to track other birds flying around him. And there were nuthatches and chickadees, and I think a hummingbird even flying around them trying to get to the feeder, but they didn't really want to get too close to the feeder with this large bird there. So I like this expression, and after half an hour watching other birds, what do you expect it to say? Like, really? Anyway.
I think you're reflected in the eyes.
That's entirely possible, Chuck. I think I was about 25 or 30 feet away from the bird at the time. So like I said, he hung out for about 35 minutes, and I caught this shot of the bird shaking its whole body just before it took off. And it's really amazing how birds can keep their heads perfectly still while the rest of the body is moving. And this was literally 10 seconds before the bird took off. And I am lousy at bird in flight photos, which is why you won't see a picture of the bird actually flying. There's another opportunity for a photograph down at Murden Cove one day. I can't remember how many years ago. It was one of the really low tide days down there, so you could walk out on the mud flats. And I happened to catch this great blue heron with two fish in between its beak, and it was about to try to swallow them both. It's hard to tell there are actually two fish here, but there's the one fish, and then there's the second fish. I think this fish didn't quite get caught by the heron because there was a splash momentarily after taking this, so one did get away.
Look like it's a cross between a fish and a bird. It's just so aeronautic.
Yeah, it was a lucky shot, frankly. I'm quite amazed. So, the great blue heron's a pretty big bird, but the biggest bird that I've ever seen is this one. Let's see if it'll bring it up. There we go. Largest bird I've ever seen. This is the biggest bird on display in Canada, up near beautiful Wawa, where I did some work, I don't know, 20 years or so ago. And I'd say this goose is probably 20 or 30 feet tall. And if you want to see it, it's at the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway and another highway there in Wawa, which does mean wild goose or land of the big goose in Ojibwe dialect. So they're weird up there. What can I say?
Well, we have some pretty weird stuff in our country too. So there
That's
you go.
true. That's true. Well, actually, and I think this is the third one. The first one was made out of paper mache, and it didn't, or plaster of Paris or something, and it didn't quite last through one of their winters.
If you think about the people complaining about goose droppings, though,
That's true, Chuck. Oh man, yeah, I wouldn't want to slide on that roadway. Yeesh. Okay, now some of you or most of you know I'm a geologist by training, and so here's the ultimate geology environmental portrait, and you have barnacles and clams and oysters, many oysters down near the Alderbrook Resort. And I took this picture, like I said, like it shows there, about 10 years ago. And so think of the environment there. You've got clams and oysters and everything else in a fairly large area. Well, I can top that one. I did some work in Oklahoma in the Kiamichi Formation, and that previous picture is about 10 years old. Well, these rocks are about 101 million years old. And the Kiamichi is known for its oyster beds. They're 20 to 30 or 40 feet thick, at least where this was taken. And the oysters in the Kiamichi Formation covered parts of Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Kansas, and Colorado. So think about a shallow water environment that spread over essentially half of North America, splitting the continent in half, literally, with a large north-south trending shallow sea with oysters everywhere. Okay, so that's a geology lesson for the day. Back to our normal program.
Well, I was thinking that, when the tide goes out, dinner is served.
Yeah, definitely.
So is the GPS just to show scale? Is that why you have that?
No, actually, Diane, well, it partially is to show scale, but this was taken actually in January 2007. We didn't really have GPS capabilities on our cameras. So I shot the GPS unit to show the actual location of the rock.
Okay.
So if you look real closely, you can tell that we're in UTM zone 15 south, and you can read the coordinates of where the picture was taken. So
okay, so you can get back to that spot.
I could get back to that spot if I wanted to. And actually, for showing sample collection locations, this is a great way to do it. Anyway. Then wrapping up kind of with something different for me. I don't usually take pictures of lizards, but this one was so pretty that I thought I'd include it. I love the name, the common side-blotched lizard. I don't know what an uncommon side-blotched lizard looks like, but this is at the Morley Nelson Snake River Birds of Prey National Conservation Area. Wow, which is in Murphy, Idaho. It's a neat area if you want to shoot images of raptors. Great place to go. And I think that is the last one. So,
All right. Well, that is, if that's common, I would welcome the uncommon, but that's pretty good.
yeah, it's a really pretty little lizard.
Really pretty.
There he goes again. Okay. So
I really enjoy these photos. They're also, you remark on the sort of, anthropomorphic personality traits you're adding, but it's because we're getting to see these critters so close and so detailed that we do put their expressions into our contexts.
yeah, thanks, Reed. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun over the years.
Well, you have some really great shots, some of those action shots. So the woodpecker with the wood, around it, from the tree, and the heron is really something. What you captured. They're all great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yes, that if you're taking them in series like that, is that what you did with the heron, where you were shooting a number of exposures back to back? You were able to luck out.
Yeah, exactly. that's the advantage of shooting digital these days and not having to worry about having a maximum of 36 frames and changing film all the time. So,
in these images, do you do much work afterwards, or are you pretty much are we pretty much looking at what you captured through the lens and your viewfinder?
yeah, they pretty much are. I don't do that much to them, the sharpening, noise reduction, especially nowadays that cameras can shoot with such high ISOs. It makes life a lot easier than it was 20 years ago. It's just phenomenal. I used to do animal shots with flash, and I haven't had to do that, especially in the last 5 years or so, because the camera systems have improved so much.
Any other comments or questions for Glenn?
I
Nice
just
shot,
really
Glenn.
enjoyed it. They're fantastic, Glenn. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's great fun.
Wow.
Chuck? Did you have
Prints
something
are
to
always great. I look forward to Wednesday night, seeing the prints you have up.
Yeah, so Wednesday, a couple times a month, the BI Photo Club meets at the Senior Community Center, and you can check that out in our calendar or go to the biphotoclub.org website where you've got details on upcoming meetings. And you guys are always, and gals are always interested in meeting new people who have been at least tangentially exposed to the photo bug. And you start to get deeper into it the more you meet, huh?
True.
Very true.
Thank you very much for sharing. And as Chuck intimated, the photos are up in the lobby and will be all month.
Nice job, Glenn.